on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. The month of February is all about Valentine's Day. Big heart-shaped boxes filled with delicious candy. What if we, the Patriots, hijacked Valentine's Day and instead made it about human liberty and individual empowerment? I'm all about human potential. I'm all about the individual being empowered. The establishment is the opposite. That's why they spike our water with fluoride and GMO, estrogen mimickers, and the rest of the garbage. InfoWars is striking back in the month of February with Human Empowerment Month. How we can come together and win the human race. And to celebrate the kickoff of Human Empowerment Month, we're slashing prices on InfoWarsLife.com products like Super Male and Super Female Vitality. The sale is only running for the month, 20% off, and there's a lot of other powerful specials at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsLife.com, celebrating human potential in the month of February. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to find this special and many others in the month of February. Again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. In the near future.
When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media operations.
You let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
A popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You gotta set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.
Careful what you wish. You just might get it.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Daniel was kind enough to hold over another 5-10 minutes because he was kind enough to send over a list of topics he'd like to get into, and of course, I never brought any of them up. So I want to go over this with him quickly. Greece's economic meltdown and bailout. What's the real story? Could Europe be the new Japan? Putin, Russia, and Ukraine war. Results of Davos summit. We kind of hit on that. 70th anniversary of Yalta Conference. Daniel was invited to give a keynote speech for the Russian government. That's a big deal. That was when Stalin, Churchill, and of course, the U.S. president at the time, he died shortly after, Roosevelt all met. And the post-world plan was set up. Copenhagen terrorist attack, and we already talked about trans-evolution, transhumanism, but he joins us right now from Europe. Daniel, continuing, let's run through what's in store in the agenda and then these points.
Maybe we just, as we have very little time, maybe we just touch on a couple of things. One is Russia, Ukraine, and the other is the situation with the ECs, because it all kind of ties in with what's happening in the, with deindustrialization, et cetera. I think it's, it's fairly obvious when we're talking about, the whole issue between Russia and the United States and NATO. It's not Ukraine. It's the determination of governments that are under the thumb of the London Wall Street financial oligarchy to crush any sovereign opposition to their power. And the powerful nations committed to defending national sovereignty, especially Russia and China, are thus de facto their enemies, and any lies necessarily to justify that the designation will be and are being used. And the truth is being overwhelmed by a torrent of lies about Russian aggression, suppressing the real story of the coup d'etat in Ukraine, the Nazi nature of the coup plotters themselves, and also the strategic intentions behind the plot. And we're seeing that, and it's amazing how easily the Americans can be confused and lied to and accept, the propaganda of the White House and the Western elite.
That's right. Copenhagen terrorist attack. What do you think is going on there?
Well, if you kind of go back, Alex, to, I don't know if you remember back in 2005, the famous politicking cartoons. These are the first, Mohammed cartoons, which were released in 2005 by this Danish newspaper called JT Politiken. So out of the guise of free speech, this newspaper, they published a dozen provocative anti-Islamic cartoons clearly designed to offend the Muslims. We've seen this again with Charlie Hebdo. We're seeing it right now, what's going on in Denmark. But if you kind of look at what's going on, all these characters, whether it's Sarkozy's, Cheney's, Rumsfeld, Netanyahu's, Jack Straw's, Obama's, Bush's, all of these people that march into the martial music of the neocons, that the shock troops of the Clash of Civilizations, Project for New American Century, the Long War, Clean Break, and all these other neocon plots, conspiracies, and contrivances. And once again, the question is, who benefits? Enters the equation. Muslims, they may burn off some of the outrage of what they see as denigration, of the religion. But at the end of the day, the Straussian, Jabotinsky liquidite coalition, they score some very big propaganda points. And once again, people in America and Europe who must be periodically reminded of the necessity for this clash of civilizations agenda for total war, are incensed by the violence spreading across the Middle East, and are convinced that all Muslims are crazed fanatics who must ultimately be dealt with and put to death. And so when you kind of look at it from that perspective, you ask yourself, who wins? Well, this is the situation. And going back, putting all these things, from a bird's eye view into perspective, ISIS, Ukraine, deindustrialization in America, what's going on? Well, we all know what ISIS is. But, with its fingertip control of the world's oil supplies, ISIS is holding the economies and hence the governments of Western Europe and Japan hostage to the same policy. And with its networks of mullahs and kooks distributed throughout the Middle East, it is threatening the Arab world with the hell of more Iran, if Arab governments do not play along with the Islamic card and seize their aspirations for industrial development. But again, these people are not new. ISIS, we saw this with Muslim Brothers going back 7 years. It's the same thing as Al-Qaeda. This is a very old strategy. For at least 150 years, Alex, it has been the strategy of the British and later the Anglo-Americans to make use of the religious and tribal backwardness of the nations of the near Middle East and Central Asia in order to control the people of the area and to maintain them in a state of underdevelopment. It has recently become obvious that we've seen years back in the 1990s with Zbigniew Brzezinski's book. It has been sold on the idea that the Muslim fundamentalists, if properly guided, can be useful toy, for the Anglo-American strategy as a bulwark against anything that has to do with progress and development.
And what's amazing about listening to you, Daniel Estulin, is that you're quoting here from Brzezinski's book. You're quoting from the Grand Chessboard. You're quoting from the Great Game that the British talked about in India, where they would play different Indian tribes off against each other. How could you have one British, on average, conquer over 2,000 Indians with just a few thousand? It was using sociology to play different groups off. And so the globalists fund the radical Muslims, turn them loose. So it is a real issue. It is disgusting what they're doing. But then they open the borders, bring them in, let them attack, then take our liberties, and then go and take over and kill the innocent Muslims en masse. This is the globalist manipulating all sides against each other, and then writing books about their grand strategy. And the public needs to wake up to this and needs to understand it. Daniel, folks can follow you on Twitter. What's the best Twitter account for them to follow you at?
It's at Estill and Daniel. Also, as I said, the documentary is just about to be done. And I don't know if I mentioned, I don't think I did, but I was recently nominated for Nobel Peace Prize for all the work I have done over the years in fighting this globalist elite. So again, I think there's a lot of recognition being done and made on the world stage, not only for the things that I do, but also for this, again, for this change of consciousness in society, which is going towards this greater collective good, which is actually what we need, to actually defeat these people, defeat the elitists, and have a better future for our children.
Well said. God bless you. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you, Alex, so much for being on your show.
Absolutely. Again, Daniel's books have sold #1 bestseller in more than 15 countries. And a lot of Americans wouldn't know who he is. A lot of folks in Europe and Asia know who he is. It just shows how many great people there are out there fighting tyranny. And he's taken action. He's got a film coming out. That makes me feel good, knowing there's more people out there fighting, not just myself or our listeners. We're going to talk about James O'Keefe says he's afraid for his life. Journalist set to release bombshell story. What could it be? Paul Joseph Watson is going to put out another report looking at perhaps what it could be. We're calling O'Keefe right now, trying to get him on today or tomorrow, and advising him that he needs to just release the story, because he's never hyped something that didn't end up being bombshell, and he's never talked like this before. So I think he may be in real danger. Believe me, folks, I've been death threatened more times than you can imagine, and I've had a lot of serious dirty tricks pulled on me. And let me tell you that the system will resort to dirty tricks. He's been arrested. They've threatened to indict him. He brought down Akron. He's done so many other big things, and they just don't like knowing he's out there. They don't like knowing we're out there, or Daniel Estlin's out there. Jim Tucker got shot at in Portugal. All sorts of other dirty tricks they pull. And I'm not up here saying, oh, aren't we cool? We're such heroes. I'm just breaking down the fact that once you get involved in this at this level, it's not fun. But it's very rewarding at a spiritual level to know that you're affecting change. And it's also very frustrating, because then you understand, wow, good people really could take back the world. We really could defeat evil and corruption, but we just give the world to the establishment and act like we have no power. Now, before I get into this news and a bunch of other news that I've not gotten to yet here today, ahead of Joel Skousen of World Affairs Brief, the editor of World Affairs Brief, joining us, I wanted to just briefly tell you about some things that, if you will take action and actually use them, I believe, because it's done that for me, will change your life. We have gravity-fed G2, super high quality, the entire family of filters and accessories for the Pro 1, Pro Pure, G2.0 filters. It takes out the fluoride, everything, the glyphosate, you name it. We also have the clearly filtered systems that are excellent as well, but less expensive. We also have the gravity-fed tabletop filters that are very affordable and very easy to use. These are all stainless steel units. When you talk about Pro Pure, we have the other least expensive systems that are not stainless steel. But it's all there. And the globalists are really hitting us with all the toxins that are in the water. They're by accident, they're on purpose. The weed killer runoffs, the pesticides, the mercury, the lead, the arsenic, the hydrofluorosilicic acid, different fluoride breakdown derivatives. It is a no-brainer to start filtering your water today. Just get one for work, get one for home. If your kids are going off to college, give it to them and say, listen, I'll help you out with your car payment, in 6 months if you commit to me that you're just going to drink water out of this filter system. Changing our lifestyle one day at a time is the way to go. And you can do it over time. You can do it effectively. And so that's what I want to challenge people to do today, is to take action, is to get involved, and to also financially support this operation. When you go to InfoWarsStore.com and you buy a pro-gun or pro-liberty, anti-tyranny T-shirt, they're great designs. We've got a whole Made in America section.